a discussion about the Lagos rental market and the cost of living. Um, Today's episode is going to be focusing on three important aspects of the reality about the uncontrolled Lagos rental market. And but before I go further, kindly share this video with some of your friends, your family, and let's have an important conversation. Now, there was a video that was circulating the internet, video of a popular Nollywood actress in person of Lillian Esoro, and she gave an instance of what she's presently passing through from a landlord. And one of the things you must understand basically is that let me know if you can hear me. Okay, yes, my audio is okay. All right. Now, one of the things you need to understand basically is that it is very, very unwise, very, very not professional for you to be using Lagos real estate and comparing it with other advanced real estates across the world. A lot of people have been talking extensively on why the cost of living in Lagos is very high. The reality here basically is due to the fact that the economy is actually, will I say it's not in good shape, or what exactly is happening? And this is why I'll be sharing some important information today. So please give me a thumb like, share this video, and let's have this important conversation. It's very, very important. Now, when it comes to the cost of living in Lagos, one of the things you need to understand basically is that Lagos was not actually designed to suit everybody. So I don't belong to this school of thought that says basically that Lagos real estate is expensive. It's a two-way thing. It's either you can afford to live in Lagos or you are outside Lagos. And the reason for that basically is due to the fact that Lagos homes is open to several economic advantages, and when it comes to real estate, the economic reality or the harsh economic realities has made it very, very hard for some people. And that is why basically if you are a Nigerian in Nigeria or a Nigerian in diaspora, you need to have an accurate understanding on how the industry is functioning. Now, I'm going to be talking about the Lagos rental market, and I'll be doing this in relationship to the cost of living. Now, when it comes to the cost of living, you need to understand that when it comes to Lagos geographical description, we have two major places in Lagos. We have the Lagos Island and we have the Lagos mainland. Basically, there is inflation, and presently right now, inflation is rating over 24 to 23.6%, and that is actually the realistic figure of inflation. And because of this inflation, okay, it has affected so many areas of life. And basically, the way things are being structured in Nigeria right now is more or less like a case of who is going to survive and who is going to become the next victim. And this is why you need to understand that the cost of living in Lagos is dependent on two things. Number one, is dependent on your closeness to important market factors, and number two, to your income. Now, what many people don't understand is that when we talk about the Lagos real estate, a lot of people find it extremely difficult to understand that the Lagos economy is not designed to accommodate everybody. Now, I'm not saying this simply because I want to discourage people from living in Lagos, but basically, if you understand the indices and so many factors and unforeseen circumstances that determine this, like for instance now, there are some parts of Lagos that if you earn 100,000, in fact, if you earn below 100,000 on a monthly basis, the reality is that Lagos is never designed to be for you. Now, a lot of people have been saying, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Now, when the video of Madam Lilian Esoro came online, she was staying in Banana Island, and one of the things she mentioned in that video was due to the fact that her landlord gave her a quick notice, and in the process of trying to evict her from the house, the landlord disconnected her lights, and in the process of doing that, she had an accident. She slipped and she had an accident, and a whole lot of people have been discussing, and they have been reacting to all this. Now, this is not to be in support of what is happening, but this is just the obvious reality of the situation of the nation. This is just an obvious reality of that. We pray and hope that things will get better, but the obvious reality and the obvious fact we are facing right now is that if you want to stay successfully in Lagos, you have to increase your income. You can't afford to be an average person. You won't survive Lagos because, number one, Lagos basically is designed, some part of Lagos is designed not to accommodate anybody. Now, talking about real estate. Now, if you have been following some of our videos, thank you for joining. Please just give us a like. You can share this video so that it can go right. Now, talking about rent in Lagos. Now, I've made several videos talking about Lagos rent, talking about the Lagos real estate, and a whole lot of people seem not to understand that what we are currently facing in Lagos as far as rent is concerned is what we call a preamble. Is a preamble. I would say the Lagos landlord have not even started at all, because by the time a majority of them are done, basically a lot of people will be forced out of this region. Now, am I saying this in support of what is going on? No, I am never in support of situations whereby there are glaring cases of exploitation, marginalization, and some of those things. But the fact still remains, basically, that there is housing crisis, there is housing deficit. The available houses that we have in Lagos cannot solve the problem. Now, a lot of people have been saying, there was a news I saw that on some people's blog, and they were saying basically that government should regulate the prices of rent, they should regulate some other things, which basically, to me, it makes sense, but it becomes extremely impossible. The only way government can regulate rent or solve the problem of housing deficit is when we have more government affordable housing estates, which we don't have. Now, I'm going to give a suggestion. Now, there was this video of the FCT minister gifting mansions to judges. And when we did an estimation of the cost, a particular professional did an estimation of that cost, and we find out that one of each mansion is costing over 1 billion. Now, let's do a calculation that 50 of these mansions were built. That is closely to almost 50 billion. Do you know that government can provide affordable two-bedroom housing projects if they choose to take just 500 million out of that 1 billion to provide massive affordable housing? But you see, the government doesn't care about its citizens. It's quite unfortunate. I'm not saying this because I want to discourage you, but it is very important that we put sentiment aside and face the obvious reality. And what is the reality? The reality is that the industry, real estate, is not circulating the way it should be. The industry has a lot of challenges, and government presently, right now, this present administration, I don't know if in the future or later in time they will want to solve this problem, but the reality now is that government doesn't care. An estimation of 1 billion was what was used to build the judge, those mansions for the appeal judges and the high court judges and some other things. I'm not here to talk about that. But what I'm trying to say is that if government gives real estate developer grant of 100 million, 200 million, or 300 million, I can assure you that they will have multiple units of 2-bedroom apartments that can go round. So the situation right now is that as long as government keeps making poor economic decisions, landlord will be at no choice than to inflate and increase their rent. And if you belong to this school of thought that believes that government will make a policy or a law that will pen house rent to a particular region, then I would say you need to wake up from that dream, because with the current economic realities, that is not happening soon. Now let's talk about the cost of living in Lagos, so that you can have an accurate understanding of what people face, and you should start looking at the available investment opportunities that you see. If you have been following my videos, I've said it unapologetically that every problem or every challenges that people experience in Nigeria is a money-making opportunity for you if you understand what Nigeria is all about. The government's inability to provide affordable accommodation has made a lot of people billionaires. Now, recently, the construction of affordable housing started earlier, far back as many years ago. But right now, we now have more people moving into real estate development. And you might ask the reason why is that? That is due to the fact that real estate is a multi-billion-dollar project. And people who understood that the government's inability to provide affordable housing is an opportunity for you to make your money. Now, let me explain some things very quickly. Now, in a city of like Lagos, realistically, we've had so many, I would say, so many data. Some would say we are like 20 million, some would say we are 23 million, some would say, but you see, it's quite unfortunate that as sophisticated as Lagos is, there is no actual census information to actualize whether we are 23 million, whether we are above 23 million. But the argument here basically is that Lagos is over 25 million people. As at last year, we were doing a calculation of the birth rates in the Lagos, and we found out that over 7.5 million babies were made in 2025 alone. Now, that is not to talk about the number of years. So that means there is going to be an implosion on the rental demand in Lagos. And the reason for this is very simple. Population is increasing, but housing is expensive. And we need to understand that the government's inability to solve the problem of housing gives private individuals, private real estate developers, an opportunity to make money. Now, the reality is that as the minimum wage, most times when I make important videos like this, I usually go back and talk more importantly about the minimum wage. But no one is expected to stay in a minimum wage of 70,000. What obviously can you do? But the reality basically is that the problem of housing is an opportunity for you to make fortune in the Lagos State real estate. Now, there are now different aspects of real estate that I want you to explore. I'm still going to go talk extensively on the cost of living, and I'm going to relate on how the cost of living influences people's choices of real estate. Because you see, you need to understand basically that there used to be a sort of like a categorization that we have the poor, we have the middle class, and we have the rich. But the obvious reality right now has eroded that classification of middle class. With this present economy, is either you are poor or you are rich. Because you see, the value of ₦1,000,000 in 2023, 2024 is not in the same value of ₦1,000,000 in 2026. Now, a lot of people are blaming some of this problem, okay, on government policy and some other things. Basically, that could be a reason. But one thing I want you to understand, basically, is that the population is growing. 7.5 million babies as at December 2025. This is June 20th. So it's until maybe the end of the year that we can get a total estimation of the number of babies that were made. Now, the truth of the matter is, people are always migrating in search of better opportunities. And this is why Lagos landlords are always at the liberty to set their house. The place I was residing before, I moved into that place, I think around 2022. From 2022, I moved out in 2026, this year. And for the number of years, okay, that I was residing in that place, my landlord was continually increasing his rent. He was increasing the rent. And when I decided to confront him, I said, Oga, please now, this thing. He said, you are a real estate person, so I expect you to understand this better. The moment he said that, I understood what it meant, and I decided not to have further conversation or plea or some other things. Now, the truth basically is that the 7.5 million babies, let us assume they grow. These babies will seek for opportunities. They will go to places where they perceive, of course, some of them will travel out, but the ratio of those who travel out and the ratio of those that will still stay in the country, do the calculation. These people will need accommodation, they will need job, they will need things. And that is why you need to understand that the Lagos real estate is an opportunity for you to make good money. Because you see, I don't see government addressing this, whether in a short time or in a long time. And this is where you need to understand where your opportunities are. Now, I'm not going to talk about housing typologies. Now, the first thing I want you to understand is that the days of you having spacious apartments, those days are gone. In fact, a studio apartment that is not up to 14 square meters is being sold for as high as 48-50 million. As tiny as it is, if it is located in a very promising location, it's a good buy for you. So the days of spacious sitting room, spacious living room, spacious kitchen, those days are gone. Why? Because you see, safe land are limited in supply. Lands that are safe for construction are very, very expensive. And in situations whereby I need a land to build, it's either you can afford to pay for that land outrightly, or you go into a joint venture agreement with the landowner. So these are the two ways of land acquisition in Lagos. So you can go into a joint venture. A joint venture is a situation whereby the owner of the land agrees to give you the land for construction and collect some things. Now, for instance, there's a project we are doing in Yaba presently. So the joint venture agreement that we had with the landowners basically is that because we're constructing just one bedroom apartment. Yes. So because if I should tell you that we have the resources to buy land in Yaba, you see that you should be on EFCC checklist for money laundering. So the joint venture agreement we had basically was that, so we had something like 2 floors, 2-story building of 1-bedroom apartment. So we had first floor, second floor, and last floor. So the joint venture agreement we had with the landowner was that they are going to take all the floors on the ground floor. Yes. So most of the lands you see, most of those houses, most of them are joint venture. Many people, why will you see 700 million to buy land? Why will you see 800? Because the cost of buying land is not just unrealistic, it is exorbitant. It is very, very exorbitant. So when you go into the joint venture agreement, the developer factors the fact that I'm going to be giving some units of apartment free to the landowner, whereby the remaining unit becomes mine. So in a situation whereby you have constructed free, you have built houses free, in exchange of the land, the remaining one you are going to sell at a profit, so that you will not be out of business by the time you are starting your next project. And this is why houses are very expensive. So the days of big white, if you want to buy mansions, like your fully detached mansions, they are available. However, the prices are, it depends on your earning capacity, from 500 million, 400 million, 200 million, 150 million, depending on your choice location. But however, what I'm trying to say is that you can acquire land, okay, through joint venture, and you can acquire land through outright purchase. Now, it has now even been proven that it is even better, okay, for you to acquire land through joint venture, because the cost of purchase can be reinvested into the construction. So that is why you don't get to see spacious apartments, big apartments. And because of the fact that it's a strict joint venture agreement, okay, you can't afford to build big spaces, because you see, you will try as much as you can to conserve the available spaces and to do what? To make profits, so that you won't be out of business. And this is what actually led to the advent of apartments with tiny, tiny rooms and tiny, tiny living rooms. Now, the question someone now asked me basically is that, as tiny as those rooms are, do we still have people, okay, who buy those properties? See, don't forget what so many people say online. See, some of the informations you get to see online most times are not the obvious reality of what the market is reflecting. There was a project I was part of, I was promoting in Yaba, and there was an investor that reached out to me. She said she wanted to buy the boutique because that project was actually situated in the midst of University of Lagos, Unilag. And of course, I'm going to be talking about that probably in subsequent video, not in this one. Now, we only had just, as at 12 a.m., after I said 12 a.m., as at 12 noon, when I was at that project in Yaba, we had 3 units of studio apartment, 12 noon. And so this particular investor, she said she was going to send her brother, the brother came, she said she was going to send this, and you know, so she was delaying in making commitments because of some of the reports they were giving her. How will you pay 50 million for this studio? It's not as big. Now, what I told, and one of the things I think I should say basically is that, dear real estate investor, it is very important for you to know that when somebody is representing you to check or value a property, try as much as you can to send people who understand real estate. A lot of people, see, I've met different kind of people who ask questions, and you will understand that these people are ignorant of the market reality. See, most of the people you send to come and inspect properties don't understand the rental advantage of it. See, location is very, very important when it comes to real estate, when it comes to rental properties. And that is why you need to understand that taking key decision is very key. Now, as at 12 noon, we had 3 units of studio apartments in Yaba. So we started the conversation, we were having a lot of things. As at 2 p.m., 2 units of that studio were gone. 2 people paid for them. As at then, we were selling 1 unit of studio for 50 million. 2 people paid for outrightly. And I had to call this woman that, ma, this particular unit, you are the only person that we're waiting for. And we had 3 buyers who were ready to even see. It got to a point that last unit of studio was now becoming something like a case of auction. They were selling for 50. Some people came and told the developer, since this woman is not ready to, since she's not sure whether to buy it or not, I know Yaba, I know, I've seen the video, I've seen things, I understand this, I will give you 55, just sell it to me. Someone came and said, no, I came here first, I'm ready to make a deposit. And to cut the long story short, I was able to use my expertise to secure that unit for the woman. She delayed, but eventually she bought. But the reality here is that if there is any property that you can lay your hands on, okay, now in Lagos, if you can afford it, in as much as fact that the papers are good, the titles are good, and is located in a very, very good location, don't hesitate, don't delay. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is that statistics have shown that in 5 years from today, people who are paying, like, now let me give instance of Akoka. Now, the reason why I'm going to give instance of Akoka, basically that Akoka is one of the most busiest area of Lagos, Yaba Lagos. The University of Lagos is there, Jaba College of Technology is there, Federal College of Education is there, the Augustine College of Education is also there, the Trinity University is at Alagomeji is there. So we have more academic institutions in Akoka, and that is why apartments are very crazy. See, if a studio is starting at a pre-construction site like off plan, if you are fortunate, you can get it for 45 million. 1 bedroom sells as high as 75, 80 million in Akoka. Now, I will explain why it is so. And I'm going to give this simple scenario. As at December 2025, the entire population of students in University of Lagos is 63,000. The entire students. And when we did our calculation, we found out that UNILAG was able to provide 8,000 bed spaces. That is not all. Remember I said that UNILAG is not the only academic institution in Akoka Yaba. We still have Yaba Tech, we have FCE, we have Trinity University, which I've been there, because when I was doing my thesis, when I was doing my MA dissertation, I've not gone for PhD yet. When I was doing my, so I was supposed to pick up some important research material. So I was directed to the Trinity University in Alagomeji, Yaba. So I went there and I was warmly received. I found out that despite the fact that Trinity University is a private university in Akoka Yaba, there were still some people in that location who wanted accommodation outside campus. So what I'm trying to say in essence basically is that when it comes to investing in properties, dear real estate investor, forget whether it's a place you will like. Forget whether it's not as big as you want. Now, I am not saying, please don't misquote me, I'm not saying that you should not go for houses of your dream, houses of your choice. But one thing I want you to understand is that when it comes to real estate, there are two categories of people. So I'm going to quickly say this. And if you belong to these categories, just note, and I'm going to enlighten you further. We have property buyers and we have real estate investors. A buyer is someone that makes decisions based on his own personal emotions. My friend is buying into that location, that's what I want. Now, a buyer does not care if that place is in a very good location. A buyer does not care if that place will make him money. In as much as fact that those aesthetics, a buyer is moved by aesthetics. Meanwhile, an investor is someone who doesn't care about where the profit is going, in as much as fact that there is demand and I'm going to make money. So an investor is not moved by emotion, is not moved by my friend owns my friend. An investor is moved by what? The demand and market reality. So market reality is that I have a studio apartment here. Every year I can make 3 million, 4.8. In Yapa presently right now, if you own any of our studio apartments, my developers presently are paying 4.8 million annually for studio apartments. If you own 1-bedroom apartments, you earn between 7.5 to 8 million depending on the location. This is not this is not wishes. These are the market reality of what is going on there. So while you will buy with emotion, some people are buying with market reality, and this is why you need to understand that real estate does not answer. So it's not a case of I like it or I don't like it. It's a case of how long will it take me to recoup my investment, or what is the ROI and what, because you see, in Yaba, people are paying 3.5, people are paying 4.2, people are paying 4 million for studio apartment for a year. And you ask yourself a question, is it that worse? It's not just worse, it's insane. And that is the market reality. Meanwhile, that 3.5, 4.8 is what some people are charging for 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartment in elsewhere. It's a good location, it's a good investment, but the rental opportunities are not the same. This is what you need to understand. So let's assume you are paying 3.5 million for studio apartments in Yaba, Lagos. Imagine what will be the value of that same rent 3, 4, 5 years from today. That means some people will, as long as Yaba is your preferred place of investment, just have it that 5, 6 years you'll be paying 500% return, 500% increase. And knowing fully well, I said that we have 7.5 million babies that is being, given birth to every year. So this is the market reality. So face the market reality. Face where the opportunities are. Now, I'm also going to give you a simple scenario. Now, that is not to say that investment on the island is not profitable. And this is what will be taking me to my next point. And what is my next point? The cost of living. Now, the cost of living on the Lagos mainland, depending on where you are on the Lagos mainland, is minimal compared to some places on the island. And why? The major markets, the major food vendors are located on the Lagos mainland. That means that there are some places you reside in the Lagos mainland that 100,000 can sustain you for a week or 2 weeks, depending on how your own lifestyle is. So it's a thing of lifestyle. Meanwhile, 100,000 cannot sustain you for 2 days in Lekki Phase 1. Because you see, the tuber of yam you will buy in Lagos mainland for 2,005, you will buy it for 10,000 in Lekki Phase 1. This is where the cost of living is. Now, because you see, what affects or determines the cost of living is the hype of that location. So people who are supplying foodstuff, gadgets, electronic things to people residing in Lekki Phase 1 already have this mindset, have this ideology that is for the privileged and the rich class. So if they choose to hype the market, they will buy it. So this is how cost of living is affecting a lot of people. So what you must now do in a situation like this is that if you are the kind of person that your cost of living is very, very outrageous, it's very, very expensive, look for a location whereby you can survive for that moment and scale up your earning. Scale up. Scale up. So in a situation whereby I'm paying 2.5 million, let's say I'm paying 2.5 million for a 2-bedroom apartment. Is there even still 2.5 million 2-bedroom apartment in Nigeria? 2-bedroom apartment now is from, like, depending on some places 3.5, some places 4 million. Housing, if it's new housing, it's 4.5 million. Even if dangote is already collecting 3.5, 4 million for 2-bedroom apartment. And this is how it keeps increasing. So you must understand where the market reality is. Now, in a situation like this, what I'm trying to say in a short while is that don't ignore rental opportunities in Lagos. Now, there are 3 ways you can own properties in Lagos. There are 3 ways. The first option that I'll be talking about is the long lease option. Now, a long lease is an investment that you own for some time. And after the expiration of the lease, the contract is what? Cancelled. Now, I've seen several instances whereby after the expiration of the lease, okay, the owners can say, let us renegotiate the lease agreement. Let me do 5 years. Let's add 10 more years. Now, that is now subject on the decision of the owner. However, long lease is the most affordable option of owning properties in Lagos. Like, for instance, depending on the location, you can see a studio apartment for 10 million. You can see a 1-bedroom apartment for 15 million. It could be an 18 years long lease. It could be a 20 years long lease. It could be a 25 years. Like I said, it's dependent on what? The lease agreement. The good thing about long lease, and why I usually encourage people to do long lease, basically, is that if your own choice of residence is the Lagos Island, you want to stay in Lekki, or your business opportunities is in Lekki, when you own long lease, okay, the rents you earn or you make from the long lease, you can use it to pay your rents in your location. Now, the beautiful thing about long lease is that for some, not all, for some, before the expiration of that lease agreement, you would have made back your capital, which you use in buying the property, and you can even flip it and get a good real estate investment. So that means long leases for as low as 10 million, 15 million, you can get a studio or a 1-bedroom apartment. So I have a lot of people who have bought. I have a friend who's based in the UK. He owns, I think, a 15-year-old. Go and meet your mom, she's in the room. So who owns I think a 15-year long lease agreement, and he has been collecting his rent. I think when he started collecting the rent, he started with 800,000 per year. How much did he buy it then? Then he bought the lease. You know, one thing about the Lagos real estate is when you enter, it is sweeter, it is profitable when you enter the market very early. He bought that 1-bedroom apartment far back in, I think it was around 2022 when he came. It was in UK, so he came down for holidays. I took him there. They were selling the long lease apartment for 6.5 million. He bought it. Now, the average lease apartment in that location now is above 10 million. And he bought 1-bedroom apartment for 6.5. He has made back his 6.5 and he's still earning. And you know, the beautiful thing about lease is that you don't even have to manage it yourself. The developer that sold it to you will help you, will do everything, and you make money and so lease agreement. So if your attention is like, okay, fine, 20 years, 10 million, doesn't cost much. The most important thing is that you have a place of your own in Lagos. So you can go into long lease depending on the one that you want. Okay. Now, the second entry point that you can penetrate the Lagos real estate market, okay, is through off plan. Now, there are different kinds of off plan. Now, a lot of people have talked about the MREIF, I know it's MREIF, the mortgage system. And I'm going to be doing a video separately for that, explaining do mortgages really work in Lagos. Now, you can look for off plan. And this thing is location worthy. We presently have a project in Itire, axis of Surulere, a 1-bedroom apartment for 45 million outright. Then if you want to spread it, I think it's 50 million for 1 year. That one is not a long lease. That one is a project whereby you own forever. And presently right now, if you must rent that apartment now in that axis, it's between 1.8 to 2 million because it's a new house. Now when it comes to renting, we have different typologies. Go and stay with your mommy, I'm coming. Babe, it's like you're asleep. So it depends on the what. So 1 year, 2 years. If it's a new house, new houses are mostly expensive because when it comes to Lagos real estate, we have two types. We have normal houses, we have new houses. If it's a new house, okay, it's between 2 million, 2.5, and like I said, it keeps increasing. So that is one of the important. So you can go into an off plan. Like I said, it's not about you liking the place. It's about the rental opportunities in that axis. So there are places whereby you will buy properties at construction. At construction, agents are already coming to meet you that they have people who are ready to rent. And that was the scenario of one of our projects, Meridian Apartments in Yaba axis. At construction, most of the houses were already rented. So it's like that. So that is one of the. So you can enter the market through an off plan, which is very fantastic. You can look for off plan. Now, when that comes to off plan, market credibility is very important. Now, I'm going to quickly give an instance of some of the experiences I've had while dealing with Lagos Island off-plan developers and Lagos mainland off-plan developers. I'm just going to summarize it. I'll do a detailed videos subsequently on why it is. Now, when it comes to off-plan, credibility, funding, title, and delivery. These things are very important when you are going for off-plan. However, you can go to an off-plan. You can key in with an initial deposit, and as the project continues to progresses, the value continues to do what? To increase. Then you can also go majorly into what? Into completed project. However, if you are buying at completed project, sometimes most of the products are mostly inflated. The houses are mostly inflated. But however, it depends. Now, one thing you need to understand basically is that what determines the choices of properties for Lagos residents, I must say this, is about infrastructure. Is about infrastructure. Is about infrastructure. Now, the reason why I am emphasizing more on infrastructure is because where I was, I've had different scenarios of having to tow my vehicle because the roads were not just bad, they were terribly bad. In fact, last year before I eventually moved out, the amount I spent in fixing the car legs and everything, when I calculated the amount I spent, getting an accommodation in a place with better road infrastructure, if I had invested there, I'll probably save my stress save myself the stress of spending more money. But you see, when you understand the importance of infrastructure, then you can have a critical understanding of how the market works. Now, I don't want this video to be very, very long because I know I've said a lot. But I'm going to summarize with this, and I'm going to give, open the line for questions, okay? If you have questions, I'm going to give room for questions. But one thing I would say, basically, is that you need to understand one thing. Lagos is the bedrock of the nation's economy. There is no investment, whether it's in studio apartment, 1-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom apartment, that you do in Lagos that is a waste. I have seen instances, now because I have to give a field reality of what is happening in Lagos. I've seen several instances of houses being sold at construction level. And this is why sometimes when developers are building, once they open that project to the market for sale, the moment they realize that people are rushing the project and the project may get sold out at construction stage, what they do is that they close sales. So as the project proceeds, when it gets to another level, they open sales, maybe for some few units. Once they notice that there is a rush, they also close it. So when it comes to off-plan, developer sells at construction, at foundation stage. That's when they say pre-launch. They sell at decking stage. That's what they call they've reopened. They sell at roofing and they sell at completion stage. The industry in Lagos is not just outrageous, it's not just expensive, it is. So some people have said, why are these people buying the properties? That's the same question I'm also asking. Because I'm not just coming here to tell you, give you rhetorics of something. I'm here trying to let you understand that the market is unfair. In a place whereby you are thinking of buying, some people have bought. Because you see, the housing deficit in Lagos can never make real estate to be valueless in Lagos. And with this present administration, I don't think they want to solve the problem of housing deficit. So take advantage of the Lagos rental market. Take advantage of it. Buy as many as you can and take the advantage as soon as you can. Because you see, there's one thing I would say that I want you to understand very, very well. And what is that thing? Buy Lagos now. Because you see, I've said it in some of my videos. If you get to a point, let's say by 2030, the people you see in Lagos right now are not the actual residents of Lagos. Because you see, with exposure to AI, digital marketing, the people who will be able to afford Lagos will be people who earn 6 figures. So Lagos State's rent will not be for civil servants again. And that is why you should understand that in a place where demand is, that's where the market is. Now, somebody asked me, this stage of insecurity, hey, with the way bandits are ravaging all these places, because of course, someone dropped a comment and he said, I'm glad you actually made reference to this. Of course, I intend to. So people have said, hey, what if, bandits come in? Hey, they said Nigeria may end before 2027. Hey, in fact, there was an Igbo man, a very good friend of mine from the East, and he was on the verge of buying a property in Chevron, and we've gone for his inspection, and he loved the property. He loved what he saw, and we were to proceed to make payment, make his first deposit, and probably spread it for 6 months, because the agreed payment plan was for 6 months. And I just realized Mr. Ikem was not picking my calls again, and he sent me a message that he's no longer interested. So there's one thing I do basically. I don't know how to push people to make a decision. I said, fine, I respect your decision, there's no problem. So a few months later, we happened to stumble on each other at Blanco supermarket in Shongotedo. And we greeted. I was very, very excited, and we had a conversation. And so after we talked, he was very happy, happy seeing him. One thing about me is I maintain relationship a lot. So, and I said, so which alternative property do you now go for? Because I was kind of feeling that the reason why you didn't proceed with that purchase might due to the fact that maybe you don't have. He said, now when he was to buy that land, they were selling, was it at 200,000 per square meter? I can't remember the actual report. The land was open for 80 million for 300 square meter, and then I think 140 million for 500 square meter. It's in Chevron many years ago. And he said the greatest mistake he made was listening to his friend. And I said, what did he say? His friend said there will be Biafra, that Lagos State government will collect everybody's property, and that is why he did not buy. Now I'm going to have a session where I'm going to talking about who is your real estate advisor. In fact, it's going to be a podcast. Who is your real estate advisor? See, a lot of people have missed out on life transforming real estate opportunities because they listened to the wrong person. And so I was asking, how much that is? I said, now, Chevron, if you don't have 300 million, now, you can't buy full plots in Chevron. And full plots is not 600, it's 500. I think they're selling half plot for around, I think 150 million or so. I can't, but I can go back and reconfirm. And that was his greatest regret. See, one thing you don't understand is, yes, insecurity is something we should not ignore. And I've made several videos addressing this. However, I have also tried as much as I can. Okay, I've been busy very, very recently. I've had to do so many property inspections, so I've not really had that time, okay, to give updates. Now, you see, I made a video about the Fulani that were arrested in Eleko, and I made a follow-up video explaining the situation of things. If I should tell you that the security situation over that places has been heightened. We now have petrol vans now driving around, and so I'll say basically that I'm impressed with the Lagos State Police Command on how they have responded to that bandit scare. It was just a scare. It was a scare. It was not an obvious reality. You know, we are in a situation of anybody can come online and make content. Anybody can come online and create tension. Anybody can come online and say what they feel. Because of the fact that, you know, when I was making that video, I made mention of some things. I said one of the reasons why I did not make further videos was because of the fact that I was waiting for verified news outlets in Nigeria to either confirm or what, or disregard the information. So I was looking forward to Arise TV, I was looking forward to Channels TV, I was looking forward to other Sahara reporters and other, you know, news agencies to complain. But a lot of bloggers just started making videos. There's bandits in Lagos, there's bandits in ibeju-lekki, and you know, they just created, people started calling me, hey, I want to sell my house. They said there's bandits, and only for us to find out that it was just a scare. Now, that is not to rule out the possibility that if this insecurity persists, Lagos will not be a target zone. If Lagos eventually be a target zone, the first thing you should look out for as an investor is that what is the response of the state government towards that? And this is where I will have to applaud Lagos State Police Command, the ibeju-lekki security network, as well as the Lagos State government. We have different security outfits that have been patrolling regularly, constantly. We've had several basic checkpoints on that axis. And I also gave instance of when I was coming from Abeokuta, I was at Bega, and I gave importance. I gave a security update of the security outfit that the Lagos state government stationed there, just not to do what, to undermine the activities of these guys. So the most important thing is that if you say because there is insecurity, you will not invest. What if this entire insecurity thing? Now the thing is, should I invest? My Wi-Fi. Okay, I apologize. So what should be? So what should be my response? Now the first thing we need to understand basically is that who are I apologize. Those are my children. All right. So the point is that what will now be the response of the government to this? Lagos State government have responded accordingly. With the refineries in Lagos, the coastal road starts from Lagos, the free trade zone starts from Lagos. We have many expatriates. We have the Chinese here, we have the Indians here, we have the Russians. In fact, I was surprised when I stumbled upon a Russian at the ibeju-lekki market. Now, there are different security outfits in Lagos, and insecurity should not be a reason why you should not invest, because even if you get to Lagos, Lagos cannot be overwhelmed like other states. The president is from Lagos. His investments are in Lagos. Top billionaires have investments in Lagos. Even if, let us assume that the security apparatus could not respond swiftly, most of these investment in countries and these companies, factories, have their own different security outfits. So dangote that puts an investment of over several millions of dollars will not allow bandits to spoil his market for him. This is very, very logical. So we should not, because of that, and basically the areas that are majorly threats are locations that they are rural areas. So these are some of the things that we need to look at that. So basically, so what I'll be doing tomorrow by the special grace of God is that I'll be talking about different investment opportunities. So I will be listing out the long lease investment that you can key in. I'll be listing out the off-plan projects that you can key in, both on the mainland and on the island. So it's going to be like a 3-in-1 live session. So this time around, we're going to be having it live, okay? So I'll be talking about off-plan products, off-plan projects on the highland, in Shongotedo, in Abramadesoya, because a lot of people have reached out and said, what about Lekki Phase 1? Do you think we can buy Lekki Phase 1? Of course, I was going to listen to that. Basically, it's just for you to look at investments that you can key in. Then probably on Wednesday, we'll talk about Japa, Ikeja, Surulere, the most important thing. So that's just it. So this is where I'm going to draw today's curtain of today's live session. I want to start by saying a very big thank you to everybody that have been part of this. I would have loved to go further beyond it, but so I want to say a very big thank you. So please, in case I was unable to take questions today, I sincerely apologize. By the special grace of God, by this time tomorrow, we're going to be doing this. I'm going to be taking questions. I'm going to be taking inquiries. And of course, there are more exciting videos. If you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, come on, what are you waiting for? I'm the one that gives you the information, the way it should be given. And I want to say a very big thank you to everybody. See you by the special grace of God tomorrow. God bless you. Bye for now.